I don't know if you have a Pop-Tart or a streusel, but you need something in that toaster because we're talking about revival. Good morning, my friends. Get some butter, get some jam, put it on whatever you like, because listen, we've got to jump into something really sweet and really good today. It's from God's Word. I know many cases I give you just 1, 2, sometimes 3 verses, but today is special because I'm going to give you a key on how to prolong the work of revival. If you've missed out on any of our other revival videos, man, what are you waiting for? Go back, take a look at those things, change your life, all right? But today we're gonna look about how you can make sure that revival continues as it starts flowing. And to dive into this, we're gonna go to Acts chapter 2, and I'm gonna just start at verse 14. Who knows where we'll stop? So start biting into that goodie that you've got. Here we go. But Peter, standing with the 11, lifted up his voice and addressed them. Men of Judea and all who dwell in Jerusalem, let this be known to you and give ear to my words. For these people are not drunk as you suppose, since it is only the 3rd hour of the day. But this is what was uttered through the prophet Joel, and in the last days it shall be, God declares, that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Even on my male servants and female servants in those days, I will pour out my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in the heavens above, and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the day of the Lord comes, the great and magnificent day. And it shall come to pass that everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man attested to you by God with mighty works and wonders and signs that God did through him in your midst, as you yourselves know. This Jesus, delivered up according to the definite plan and foreknowledge of God, you crucified and killed by the hands of lawless men. God raised him up, loosing the pains of death, because it was not possible for him to be held by it. Whoa! I don't think I've ever done that many verses on Breakfast with Bradley, but here we are, always a new day, okay? Why did I share this entirety with you? Because it's important to understand how to prolong revival. Here is the case where the church is being born, okay? And by the church being born, what I mean is those that have followed Jesus have now received the power that he told them and promised them to wait for. In receiving this power, they have now gone out evangelistically and changed what is going on in their community by allowing God to use them. Now, as God is using them, some are so shocked, so frightened, so confused by what is happening that they try and label it something different. Now, here's where it comes into play, and this is why what we talked about earlier with the litmus test for revival, this is why that's so important, because as the people are trying to start bringing disrepute, or they're trying to overthrow this and say, this isn't real, this is just a bunch of drunk guys, Peter begins to lift up Jesus, okay? This is where it is so important to prolong revival. If you look back at some of the revivals of the past and some of the endings of certain moves of God, is always taken place when Jesus becomes the second focus and not the first. God's power shows up and people start looking at the power more than Jesus. What happens when people are looking at the power of God more than the purpose of that power? Revival diminishes because we begin to idolize the power that is present. There's so much to say about this and say the Azusa Street revival and even many others. When the power was more prominent than the message, there was always a stifling of what God was doing, because when we idolize something other than what God was doing, then by revealing Jesus, then that's when we lose out on revival. Okay, so Peter calls them back and he says, listen, this is the issue. What you are seeing, this power, is because of Jesus. And then he puts it on them by saying that Jesus is the one that you have to deal with because you are the ones that have turned him over. And my friends, our culture today, in order to propagate and promote and maintain revival, we must centralize around the truth of Jesus. Many times people get so excited about seeing a powerful move of God, but never want to encounter or deal with the truth that our sin is the reason that Jesus had to die. People love to see great things happen, but don't like to look internally. To maintain revival, you must be willing to allow the message to be over the power. The power is to draw people to the message, and then through the message be transformed so that they can be vessels of that power. But if we start getting out of line of what God is looking for, that's when things get crazy. And that's when things lose their focus and God begins to shut them down. Okay? So prolonging revival is about the centrality of Jesus and us dealing with him so that we can be agents of his glory and his work. And that's what I want for your life. We are almost done talking about revival. I could keep on going, but listen, before we bring this to a close, I want you to get out there and promote what God is doing so that you can see his power moving through you and so that you can maintain what revival brings. And once you're done with that, come back and see me. Tomorrow morning, we're gonna totally finish from this concept in this series, what is important about revival. Until then, my friends, God bless you. My friends, how many mornings have we spent together and how much time have we been able to enjoy God's word? It is so special to be able to bring breakfast with Bradley to all of you. And I want to ask you to consider partnering with us so that we can expand what God is doing through this incredible ministry. Consider joining our Patreon account, and not only are we going to shower you with perks for doing that, but you'll be part of the process of taking Breakfast with Bradley and spreading it to as many people as possible. Thanks again, my friends. We'll see you next time.